My name is Samantha Reed, and if there's one thing I've learned the hard way, it's this. Sometimes the people you trust the most are the ones sharpening the knife for your back. For most of my life, I believed in loyalty and friendship. I believed that true friends would always be by your side, cheering you on, protecting your secrets and holding your hand through every storm. That's what I thought I had with Claire. Claire wasn't just a friend. She was like a sister to me. We met in college, bonded instantly over our shared love for books and coffee, and promised each other we'd be there through everything. And for years we were. She stood by me during my wedding planning, and I was by her side when she had her first heartbreak. We laughed, we cried, we shared secrets that nobody else knew. So when I married my husband, Daniel, I never thought for a second that I'd have to protect him from her. Daniel was kind, hardworking, and the love of my life. He wasn't flashy or arrogant like some men I had dated before. He was steady, dependable, and made me feel safe. Together, we built a quiet but happy life. And since Claire was such a big part of my world, it only made sense to me that she would also become close with Daniel. First, it was innocent. Claire would come over for dinner, and the three of us would sit together laughing about old college stories. She'd tease me about my cooking, and Daniel would jump in to defend me. It all felt harmless, until I started noticing subtle shifts. Claire began complimenting Daniel a little too much. She'd touch his arm lightly when she laughed, or lean in close when she spoke to him. She started asking him for help with things she could easily handle on her own. Fixing her car battery, moving furniture, even setting up her Wi-Fi. I brushed it off at first. She was my best friend. Surely I was just being paranoid, right? But then the text messages started. One night, while Daniel was in the shower, his phone buzzed on the nightstand. I didn't mean to snoop, but when I saw Claire's name pop up, curiosity got the better of me. I opened the message and my heart stopped. I had so much fun talking to you today. You really get me in a way nobody else does. Can't wait to see you again. Red heart. I froze. My hands shook as I scrolled up. The conversation was full of flirty messages, subtle compliments, and little inside jokes I had no idea about. My best friend. My husband. And they thought I wouldn't notice. I remember sitting on the edge of my bed that night, phone in my hand, staring at those messages until the words blurred. My chest felt tight, my stomach churned, and my whole body trembled. It was like my world had just cracked open. The worst part? Daniel had never given me a reason to doubt him before. He wasn't the type to cheat, at least not in the way most people think of cheating. But emotional betrayal, flirting with my best friend behind my back? That was worse than anything I could have imagined. I didn't confront him right away. Instead, I stayed quiet. Because deep down, I knew if I accused him or Claire without evidence, they'd both deny it. Claire would play innocent, she was good at that. She'd probably laugh it off, calling me paranoid or jealous. And Daniel, well, he might believe her over me. So I decided to be patient. Over the next few weeks, I became a detective in my own home. I started checking Daniel's phone when he left it unattended. I noticed how quickly he'd snatch it back if I even glanced at the screen. I kept track of his late nights, his excuses about working late, or helping a colleague. I knew something was happening, but I needed undeniable proof. That proof came one Saturday afternoon. I told Daniel I was going to visit my mother, but instead I parked my car a few blocks away from Claire's apartment. I waited, and sure enough, an hour later, I saw Daniel's car pull up. He walked into her building like he had done it 100 times before. My heart shattered, but at the same time, a strange calmness washed over me. I wasn't imagining it. I wasn't paranoid. They really were betraying me. I could have stormed in right then, confronted them, screamed, cried, made a scene. But no. That's what they would have expected. They thought I was too weak, too soft to fight back. They didn't know the fire they had just lit inside me. That night I started planning. I quietly installed a hidden camera in our living room, disguised as a digital clock. I knew Claire often came over when I wasn't home, and I wanted everything recorded. I also set up a recording app on Daniel's phone while he slept, syncing his messages and calls to my email. It didn't take long for the evidence to pile up. Texts, calls, secret meetings, even whispered conversations in my own living room when they thought I wasn't around. Every message felt like another knife in my back. But instead of breaking me, it hardened me. I wasn't just going to expose them. I was going to destroy them. The opportunity came sooner than I expected. Claire's birthday was coming up, and she had planned a big dinner with all our friends and family. Daniel was invited, of course. And I thought, what better stage for the truth than a room full of people who thought she was sweet, loyal, and trustworthy? So I prepared. I organized all the screenshots, all the recordings, every shred of proof I had. And on the night of Claire's birthday, I walked into that party with my head held high, my heart pounding, and revenge burning in my veins. They had no idea what was coming. Claire's birthday dinner was held at a fancy restaurant downtown. She loved attention, loved being the center of the spotlight, and she had gone all out: balloons, decorations, a cake with her name on it in glittery icing. Everyone was there. Her friends, her coworkers, even some of my family. And of course, Daniel sat beside her, smiling like nothing was wrong. As I walked in, Claire ran up to me, hugging me like we were still best friends. The audacity of that woman nearly made me laugh. She whispered, "You're my sister, Sam. I'm so glad you're here." I hugged her back, forcing a smile, but inside I was seething. Throughout dinner, I watched the way she leaned into Daniel, the way their eyes lingered on each other just a second too long. They thought they were being subtle. They thought no one else noticed. But I noticed. And tonight everyone else would too. After the cake was cut and the toasts were made, Claire clinked her glass. "I just want to thank all of you for being here tonight. This year has been amazing, and I couldn't have gotten through it without the people I love most." She turned and smiled at Daniel. That was my cue. I stood up holding my own glass. "Actually," I said loudly, my voice steady, "I think there's something everyone here deserves to know." The room went silent. Dozens of eyes turned to me. Claire's smile faltered just slightly. I pulled out my phone and connected it to the restaurant's projector screen. Within seconds, the first screenshot appeared behind me. A text from Claire to Daniel. "I can't stop thinking about you. I wish she wasn't in the way. Red heart." Gasps filled the room. Claire's face went pale. Daniel froze, his jaw tight. I swiped to the next screenshot. Then another. Then a video clip of them on my couch, whispering and laughing when they thought I wasn't home. Every secret, every betrayal, laid bare for everyone to see. The room erupted. Shocked whispers, angry shouts, people pointing at them in disbelief. Claire stammered, "It's not what it looks like." But nobody believed her. Daniel reached for my arm, but I yanked it away. "Save it." I spat, my voice shaking with fury. "You two deserve each other. But you don't get to lie to me anymore. And you sure as hell don't get to humiliate me in front of everyone." Claire burst into tears, begging people to listen. Daniel tried to stand up, but the damage was done. Their reputations were shredded in an instant. For years, people had admired Claire for being sweet and loyal. Now they saw her for what she truly was, a snake. But I wasn't finished. I looked Claire dead in the eye. "You wanted to ruin my marriage? Congratulations. You ruined your own life instead." And with that, I walked out of the restaurant, head held high, leaving her sobbing in front of everyone she had ever cared about. That night was just the beginning of her downfall. The fallout from that birthday dinner was nuclear. By the next morning, word had spread like wildfire. Claire's coworkers were whispering about her at the office. Some even texted me screenshots of their group chats, mocking her, calling her homewrecker, and backstabber. She had always built her image around being the perfect, sweet girl. Now that mask was shattered. Daniel, on the other hand, had to face his family. His mother called me personally, apologizing for his actions and saying she raised him better. She told me, "If you want to divorce him, I'll support you. Don't let him drag you down." For once I felt like I had power. But I wasn't satisfied yet. Exposing them publicly was only the first step. I wanted them to feel the kind of pain they had put me through. Constant, burning, unavoidable. So I devised a plan. Daniel and I shared a business account. When I looked closely at the transactions, I noticed he had been secretly funneling money. Loans to Claire, expensive dinners, even gifts. My stomach churned. I met with my lawyer, and within days I had everything documented. Daniel was about to face a brutal financial reckoning. The money he thought was hidden was now evidence in a divorce case that would leave him with nothing. I remember the look on his face when I handed him the papers. His arrogance evaporated. He stuttered, "Samantha, please. Let's talk about this." I cut him off cold. You talked enough when you were in her bed. Claire had always lived for attention, especially on social media. So I sent a carefully crafted email to a few of her influencer friends, attaching screenshots and details of her betrayal. I didn't have to beg them to spread it. People love drama, especially when it involves a supposed perfect girl falling from grace. Within a week, Claire's followers dropped drastically. Brand deals she was hoping for vanished. Invitations to events stopped. She had become a joke in her own circle. But the real cherry on top came a month later. Claire had been fired from her job. Apparently, fraternizing with married men didn't sit well with her boss, who valued integrity in the workplace. Meanwhile, Daniel's credit was destroyed, and he was drowning in legal fees. He had no house, no savings, no partner he could lean on, because Claire, under pressure, started blaming him for everything. They turned on each other. The very people who had united to betray me now tore each other apart. One evening I ran into Claire at the grocery store. Her hair was a mess, her clothes wrinkled, and she looked nothing like the glamorous woman she used to be. She froze when she saw me. I smiled sweetly and said, "Oh, Claire, you look tired. Everything okay?" She swallowed hard, her eyes filled with tears, but she couldn't say a word. I didn't wait for an answer. I just walked away, my heels clicking against the floor like a victory drum. For the first time in months I felt light. Free. Revenge wasn't just sweet, it was liberating. After everything, my life felt like it had been broken into pieces and rebuilt stronger. The divorce went through smoothly. With all the evidence I had, Daniel couldn't fight back. I walked away with the house, savings, and most importantly, my dignity. He walked away with nothing but shame and debt. Claire? Well, word around town was she had to move back in with her parents. She couldn't find steady work, her reputation was ruined, and she had become the subject of whispers everywhere she went. The once confident, smiling woman now avoided people's eyes. It's funny how karma works. But the best part wasn't their downfall. It was my rise. I started therapy, not because I was broken, but because I wanted to heal properly. Betrayal cuts deep, and I didn't want to carry that bitterness forever. Slowly, I started rediscovering who I was outside of Daniel, outside of that toxic marriage. I picked up hobbies I had abandoned, painting, running, even traveling. I booked a solo trip to Italy, something I had always dreamed of but Daniel never supported. Standing in Florence, looking at the sunset over the Arno River, I felt like a completely new woman. During all the chaos, I had started journaling my experiences. I didn't realize then, but those notes would later become the foundation of a book, Betrayal and Power, How I Took My Life Back. I published it, thinking maybe a few women would read it. Instead, it exploded. Emails flooded in from strangers, women who had been cheated on, lied to, manipulated. They told me my story gave them courage. Some even said they finally left toxic relationships because of me. My pain had turned into someone else's hope. One rainy afternoon, months later, I bumped into Daniel. He looked older. His sharp suits were gone, replaced by a cheap jacket. His face carried exhaustion, not confidence. "Samantha," he said softly, almost pleading, "can we talk?" I looked him in the eye, and for the first time, I felt nothing. No anger, no love, no pain, just freedom. "There's nothing left to say," I replied, and I walked away, umbrella in hand, leaving him standing alone in the rain. Claire never confronted me directly again, but one day, I received a message from her. It was short, desperate, almost pathetic. "You ruined me." I laughed, not because it wasn't true, but because she still didn't understand. I didn't ruin her. She ruined herself. She built her destruction with lies, greed, and betrayal. I just held up the mirror. Looking back, I realized betrayal isn't the end of the story. It's the beginning of a new one. Daniel and Claire thought they broke me, but in truth they set me free. Free to rebuild, free to succeed, free to live a life they could only dream of. Revenge wasn't about making them suffer. It was about reclaiming myself. And I did. Today, I'm happier than I've ever been. Stronger, braver, untouchable. And if anyone asks me about betrayal, I just smile and say, Never underestimate the power of a woman who has been wronged, because she will rise, she will fight, and in the end, she will win. Thank you for watching this story till the end. What would you have done if you were in my place? Tell me in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon, so you never miss the next story of betrayal, revenge, and justice. Another powerful story is coming soon, stay tuned.